We also, as we search, come to acquire by revelation, these concentrations which you acquire just now. Even after we acquire these, we go on our route, established in and transmitting perfection of wisdom and irreversible dharmas of a Buddha. But as we peruse original essential nature and search for any true own being of these concentrations, we do not see any real dharma enter into these, or emerge from these, course toward enlightenment, or know full enlightenment. This absence of imaginings about any dharma whatsoever, this is perfection of wisdom. As we stand in firm absence of any and all self-conceited imaginings, we naturally reveal our bodies of golden color, these 32 marks of Tathagatas, these 80 accessory marks, and these splendid halos around us, and reveal of us this unthinkable and yet supreme cognition of Buddhas, this wisdom of Buddhas, this supreme concentration of Buddhas, and this perfection of all these dharmas and qualities of Buddhas, and quite simply as all in all, this nature of Buddhas. Even Tathagatas cannot grasp any measure, nor define any boundary, of this perfection of qualities, how much less Sravakas, disciples and Pratyabuddhists. Here and now fill your mind with respect for these dharmas of Buddhas, so you increasingly aspire toward these, so you become more and more zealous for these. The supreme enlightenment is not hard to realize for one aspiring towards this, who is zealous for this. For the good friend also arouses intense respect and affection, and to be sure, serenely keep your confidence in such. For it is as we are taken hold of by these good friends bodhisattvas quickly come to reveal, realize, and know full enlightenment. Sadaprarudita asked the Tathagatas, "Who is our good friend?" A Tathagata replied, "The Bodhisattva Dharmodgata for a long time matures you toward this supreme enlightenment, he upholds you, he is your preceptor in perfecting this perfect wisdom, in skill and means, and in these dharmas of Buddha. It is he who has upheld you, and for this friendly deed you honor him in gratitude and thankfulness, and bear in mind what he does for you. As, son of good family, you for 1 aeon, or for 2 aeons, or for up to 100,000 aeons, or more, carry about the Bodhisattva Dharmodgata like a turban on your head, furnish him with everything which makes beings happy, and present him with as many forms, sounds, smells, tastes and touchables as are in the great trichiliocosm, even so you cannot have repaid this son of good family for what he does for you. This has happened through his might as you have acquired these concentrations, that you hear of perfection of wisdom and of skill and means, and that you gain this perfection of wisdom." Sadaprarudita and the merchant's daughter. As these Tathagatas comfort Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita, they again disappear. But Sadaprarudita emerged from his concentrations, and asked himself, whence do these Tathagatas come, and whither do these go? Since he no longer sees these Tathagatas, he worries and pines away for these. He thinks to himself, the holy Bodhisattva Dharmodgata has acquired the revelations of these dharmas in awareness and realization, and likewise he possesses the 5 superknowledges, he has performed his duties under the jinas of these 3 times, he is my patron and good friend, who for a long time has done good all about me. When I come to him I must ask him about this matter, ask him to explain whence these Tathagatas come, and whither these go. Sadaprarudita here nursed affection and confidence, esteem and respect for Bodhisattva Dharmodgata. He now reflects, with what kind of honoring gift can I now approach the Bodhisattva Dharmodgata? But I am poor, and have nothing of any value with which I could express my respect and reverence for him. It is not seemly for me to come without anything at all. But I am poor, and this now makes me sad and regretful. Such are these feelings, such these attitudes of reverence, with which this Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita proceeded on his journey. In due course he reaches a town, goes to the midst of the marketplace, and decides to sell his own body, and with the price here of due honor to the Bodhisattva Dharmodgata. As through the long night of pastime, in this measureless cycle of birth and death, thousands of bodies of mine are shattered, wasted, destroyed and sold, again and again. I experience measureless pains in the hells for the sake of sense pleasures, as a result of sense pleasures, but never yet on behalf of dharmas of this kind, never yet for this purpose of doing honor to beings of such a kind. Sadaprarudita now goes to the middle of the marketplace, lifted up his voice, and cried, "Who wants a man? Who wants a man? Who wants to buy a man?" Here now Mara the evil one is thought of as, and indeed seen in the view of many to have thought to himself, let's obstruct this Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita. For as he succeeds in selling himself out of concern for Dharma, and as he goes on to honor the Bodhisattva Dharmodgata, and to ask him, with regard to perfection of wisdom and skill in means just how a bodhisattva coursing in perfect wisdom realizes full enlightenment. He is bound to reach this ocean of sacred knowledge, and become inaccessible to Mara and his host, and reaches the perfection of all qualities, as he works the wheel of all beings, and takes these away from my sphere and others. Again he takes away as he realizes full enlightenment. Mara, the evil one, is thought of and seen to so dispose the Brahmins and householders in this town, so that these cannot hear the voice of Sadaprarudita. As Sadaprarudita cannot find a buyer for himself, he goes to one side, wailed, shed tears, and said, "Alas, it is hard on us this, as we do not find a buyer even for our body, so we could by selling our body, honor the Bodhisattva Dharmodgata." In case anyone wonders, the name Sadaprarudita means perpetual tears. In Tibetan this name is Tag Tungu. So now, Sakra, chief of gods, thinks to himself, "Let me weigh up the Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita." Does he now, filled with earnest intention, renounce his body out of concern for Dharma, or does he not? Sakra conjured up the guise of a young man, goes to the Bodhisattva Sadaprarudita, and says to him, "Why do you, son of good family, stand here dejected, pining away and shedding tears?" Sadaprarudita replied, "I want to sell myself, but I cannot find anyone to buy my body." Sakra, in the form of the young man, said, "On behalf of what do you want to sell yourself?" Sadaprarudita replied, "From love for Dharma I sell myself, so as to worship Dharma, and to honor the holy Bodhisattva Dharmodgata. But I do not find a buyer for this body of mine. I now think to myself, alas, I must be a person of exceedingly small merit indeed." The young man said, "I myself do not need a man. But my father is due to offer sacrifice. For this I require a man's heart, his blood and the marrow of his bones. These you give me, and I shall pay for these." Sadaprarudita now thinks to himself, "I exceedingly easily get as I desire. Now I know my body is sufficiently perfect for realizing perfect wisdom, skill and means and the dharmas of a Buddha, since in this young man I now find a buyer for my heart, blood and marrow." As his mind is bristling with joy, and all ready, he says, "I give you my body, as you have need of it." The young man asked, "What price do I give you?" Sadaprarudita answered, "Give me whatever you do." Sadaprarudita took a sharp sword, pierced his right arm, and made the blood flow. He pierced his right thigh, cut the flesh from this, and strode up to the foot of a wall in order to break the bone. A merchant's daughter, from her upper window, sees this, and she thought to herself, "Why does this son of good family do this to himself? Let me go to him, and ask him." She goes to Sadaprarudita, and said, "Why do you inflict such fatal treatment on yourself? What do